What exactly makes a god in Final Fantasy XIV? Most primals we fight are born from the faith of tribes, desperate prayers, and a whole lot of crystals. But what if a god could be born from something else? Something much, much darker. Unlike most icons, Tsukuyomi isn't really called forth by a devoted people. She's shaped by an old Far Eastern legend, a stolen Kojin moon relic, and the will of a single broken woman. There are no chanting worshippers here, just the soul that's been pushed far past its limit. Now, if you know a bit about Japanese mythology, you might be thinking of Tsukuyomi, the male god of the moon. This isn't that story. This is the story of Yotsuyu Brutus, the cruel Viceroy of Doma, and how a lifetime of suffering taught her to hate the world so much that she chose to become its eternal night. When we first meet Yotsuyu in Stormblood, she is a figure of pure, chilling sadism. As the acting Imperial Viceroy of occupied Doma, she has a special kind of cruelty reserved just for her own people. She forces a villager into a twisted choice between his family and his own life. She crushes the hope of a village with just a smile. She treats the suffering of others like it's her own personal theater. Her loyalty isn't really to the Garlean Empire. It's to the suffering that Garlemald allows her to inflict. She's a viper coiled at Doma's heart, a woman who despises her homeland and everyone in it. To the warrior of light, she's an absolute monster, a traitor who sold her soul for a taste of power. But that kind of hatred doesn't just come from nowhere. To understand the monster, you have to understand the girl she was forced to become. Yotsuyu's story begins in tragedy and never really lets up. Born into the Nayuri family, she loses her parents young and is sent to live with her aunt and uncle. People who see her as nothing more than cheap labor. They keep her out of school. They work her to the bone. They beat her, often right in front of their younger son, Asahi, the boy she grows up calling her brother. From there, things only get worse. As a teenager, she's married off to an abusive noble. When he dies, she's sold again. This time to a pleasure house to pay off his debts. Doma's nobles, soldiers, and townfolk all take their turns using her. But no one steps in to help. The people who should have protected her, her family, her countrymen. The Doma she was supposed to love either hurt her or simply looked away. This endless torment doesn't just break her. It curdles her heart into a cold, hard stone of rage. She doesn't just hate her abusers. She hates all of Doma. She hates the society that watched her suffer, the culture that saw her as disposable, and the people who turned a blind eye. So when the Garlean Empire, through Xenos Yae Galvis, offered her a chance for payback and power, she took it. Her villainy wasn't a simple grab for status. It was a carefully nurtured revenge on the world that broke her. After Yotsuyu is defeated at Doma Castle, she tries to bring the whole castle down with her. The castle collapses around her and Gosetsu, and everyone assumes they're dead. But the river carries them away, and eventually they wash up alive, battered, broken, but breathing. The cost is everything Yotsuyu was. When she wakes, she has no memory of her crimes, her title, or even her own name. She is no longer the vicious Viceroy, but Tsuyu, a simple, childlike woman who clings to Gosetsu for guidance. He sees a fragile innocence in her that he never imagined could exist in the tyrant of Doma, and he chooses to care for her. Under his watch, Tsuyu experiences genuine kindness for the first time in her life. This part of her story asks us a very difficult question. Can a person be redeemed if they don't even remember their sins? Tsuyu is living proof that Yotsuyu's cruelty wasn't born in her, but beaten into her. For a fleeting moment, she has a chance at a peaceful life, free from the ghosts of her past. But, unfortunately, those ghosts weren't done with her yet. The fragile peace is shattered by the arrival of her adoptive brother, Asahi, now a proud Garlean emissary with a snake smile. He returns to Doma under the guise of negotiating a prisoner exchange. But what he really wants is a spectacle. As part of his scheme, he arranges a cruel reunion between Tsuyu and the aunt and uncle who raised her. In front of Lord Heen and the Warrior of Light, they berate her, calling her worthless even now. Later, when they believe she still has no memories and no power, they casually talk about selling her off again, just like they did before. That's the moment her spirit doesn't just crack, it shatters. The last pieces of her past snap back into place, and the woman who was Tsuyu remembers exactly who she is. With the stolen Tanto in her hand and a lifetime of agony behind her, she murders her foster parents in a storm of rage. Asahi steps out from the shadows, delighted. This is exactly what he wanted. The real Yotsuyu restored by pain. He already set the stage. You see, before this, he secretly gifted her a moon-adorned mirror, a red Kojin relic stolen by Xenos, a compact that serves as a vessel for the kami Tsukuyomi. Now, at Castrum Fluminis, Asahi has had crates of ether-rich crystals delivered under the pretense of a diplomatic gift. During the staged prisoner exchange, Yotsuyu steps forward and rejects any notion of repentance. She calls Doma a putrid, pestilent swamp, and declares that she will break its people utterly. Then, using the mirror and that hidden trove of crystals, she doesn't so much pray to a god as invite one in. She fuses her bottomless hatred with the Kojin relic and the crystal's ether, becoming the host of a new primal form, Tsukuyomi, divinity of night and moon, intent on drowning Doma into an eternal darkness. The battle against Tsukuyomi is as much a psychological war as a physical one. We aren't just fighting a primal, we're fighting the manifested memories of her tormentors, spectral domans, Garlean soldiers, her parents, Asahi. They all spill into the arena, feeding the primal with her suffering. In the heart of that nightmare, she even summons an apparition of Xenos, ready to strike her down. But then, another figure appears, a specter of Gosetsu Daito. In her mind's eye, his blade clashes with Xenos', shielding her from the killing blow, and hinting at the one kindness that still anchors her. That opening is all the Warrior of Light needs to push through and finally strike down the Goddess of the Night. When the primal's power breaks, Yotsuyu falls back to the ground. Human again, alive, but barely. Asahi returns to the scene, furious that his carefully staged summoning didn't go exactly as planned. He shoots her in her weakened state, then kicks her while she lies there, gloating over how useless she was to him in the end and ranting about how Xenos favored her over his loyal servant. But Yotsuyu has saved just enough strength for one last act of will. Calling back the power of Tsukuyomi for a final moment, she summons the primal's twin katanas in spectral form and drives them straight through Asahi, impaling him on the very power he thought he controlled. The architect of her final torment dies at her feet, and she revels for a brief, chilling moment in the satisfaction of a long-promised vengeance. Only after that hunger is finally sated do her thoughts turn somewhere gentler. Looking to the Warrior of Light, she wonders why they seem mournful at the Witch of Doma's death. They answer that some will mourn not for the Viceroy, but for Tsuyu, the woman who deserved better. Her last words are not curses, but a small lingering question tied to the only pure kindness she ever knew. Was the persimmon she gave Gosetsu sweet? With that fragile human memory, Yotsuyu, Tsuyu, Tsukuyomi, Oliver, closes her eyes for good. Yotsuyu's story is one of Final Fantasy XIV's most devastating tragedies. She wasn't a primal born from generations of worship, but a goddess of malice shaped from one tormented soul, a Kojin relic, and a mountain of stolen ether. She's a dark mirror to the theme of redemption, a character who was given a second chance only to be dragged back into the abyss by the inescapable gravity of her past. Her arc is a brutal reminder that some wounds go so deep that even miracles can't fully erase them. So what do you all think? Was Yotsuyu's fate sealed from the start? Or was there a moment she could have truly been saved? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed deep dives into the lore of Final Fantasy XIV, be sure to consider subscribing for more. Alright my friends, thanks for watching.